So Illinois is a team. Okay. Illinois on Thursday night goes out and puts up 109 on the road at Oregon, top 10 team in America, flying across the country. It's their first road trip in this new expanded 4 time zone Big Ten. And they put together one of, I would argue, maybe the most impressive performance we've seen all season on Thursday, Tyler. Then they come back on Sunday afternoon, another game on the West Coast. They've been on the West Coast for 4 days. They're probably a little bit tired at this point. And they play the bottom team in the Big Ten that just is coming off of a win over Maryland. They tried to give it away at the end, but they didn't. They end up winning. Illinois 81, Washington 77. I'm going to make a statement here, and I want to know if you guys think this is crazy. Tyler, we'll go to you first. Tio, I want your opinion on this too. I think Illinois is a top 10 team in America. I understand that there are some questions on what they are defensively, and there's a little bit of youth stuff. Maybe they're not so physical, but you look at the way that they're trending. You look at the development of Kasparas Yakashonis, KJ for short. You look at kind of what Dre Gibbs Lawhorn is giving them off the bench. I just everything about what this Illinois team is screams incredibly dangerous in March to me, Tyler. I think they're a top 10 team in America with a ceiling too. We have that conversation with Duke, great freshman, long-term development. I don't know why we don't have that same conversation with Illinois.
I agree. And the more I watch Illinois, the better they look. And a big reason for that could be KJ keeps improving. And he is a guy that can go and get you a bucket. And tonight, especially when they needed a bucket late in the game, he was able to penetrate right to the basket for a wide-open layup. And he keeps getting better. And he's one of those guys that's going to, make smart plays. He's a guy you can rely on at the free throw line. He's been an extremely impressive freshman, but also the Boswell kid, he keeps improving. And also the Trey White, he continues to get a little bit more aggressive. And the supporting cast around him, they just keep on improving and improving. And the more I see Illinois, the more I tend to agree with you, Dawser. I think that they could end up being a potential Final Four team, which, it's hard for me to say that off of the way Illinois fans came at me last year, but I will give you guys credit. I do like your team. I got to be truthful and honest.
They're good, man. They're good. And what have we said about Brad Underwood for years now? Now we've given him supremely talented freshman, and then you look at how he's able to develop that talent over the course of time. And now we're creeping into the middle of January. There are going to be growing pains. I think with Yakachonis and Ivisic, those are different kind of freshmen because they come from these European systems. They've been drilled and drilled and drilled. So it's a little bit different. They have to adjust to the size and the speed and the physicality of what college basketball is. It's just flying up and down compared to their respective games. But over there, they're having to figure out pieces to the puzzle. Once their brain slows down, when they come to the college game, things start to click. I think that's what's happening now. And whenever you go to the Pacific Northwest, and let's keep in mind too, the trip from Illinois to the Pacific Northwest isn't all that long. So it's a 2-3 hour flight. That's all well and good, but it's not like Rutgers going over to Oregon and just blowing somebody out. So I'm not going to give them that much credit for this, but you're going to the Pacific Northwest, two game to start conference play, knock out that part of the country and do so in emphatic fashion. That's awesome. And, Washington kind of developing. Danny Sprinkle's trying to figure it out in year one. Oregon's damn good. To put up a $109 against Oregon, downright impressive.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it, right? Like we know
what's even crazier about this? This is where I know the producer decided that we know he's an Illinois guy. So Trevor ends up sending out 30 tweets about Illinois as soon as we start talking about him. So I'm not saying the Field of 68's biased in one direction or another, but I'm not saying it at this point.
Yeah, you would say right now there's a 30-0 run on Illinois tweets versus UConn tweets so far on this podcast today. No, but look, I honestly think that they are. I think that they can win it all. Right. Like I think that they are good enough to be able to do that because of what their offensive firepower is, because they gave up. I wouldn't say that they are, when you watch them play, that they are the best defensive team in America, but their numbers net out. I think they're top 15 on KenPom in adjusted efficiency defensively. Right. And the thing that stands out more than anything for me, and Tyler, I want your opinion on this, is they got guys that have fully bought into their roles. right? Like Kylan Boswell has come back, and he's not the guy anymore. He's just the dude next to KJ. He's the complementary piece. Ben Humrickis has come in, and it's the first time like in his career that he's been a guy that hasn't dominated the ball with the ball in his hands. And you look at what Ivisic has kind of accepted. Will Riley is the highest rated recruit they've ever had. And he's like, yeah, I'll play 20 minutes off the bench. Dre Gibbs-Longhorn, I mentioned him earlier. It's like he reminds me of what Hassan Diarra was for UConn last year, where you just bring him in for 20 minutes and it's all energy, all electric. I'm going to go try to mess some shit up here defensively. I'm going to maybe make something happen offensively, and it's just all energy. I think everything about the way that these pieces fit is really, really dangerous and what you look for in a tournament team.
Yeah, and I'll give Underwood a lot of credit because this team is so new, and then having players that are coming to a new program, they're not trying to prove themselves. They're trying to be about the team and fit in with their role, which is pretty rare. And you've got a bunch of different guys that can do different things, and everyone is kind of on the same page, especially when I hear the post-game interviews and the players talking. KJ is our guy, and that is our go-to guy when we need a bucket. And sometimes you'll hear teams where, I think they know who they are, and they play their roles very well, and they're all about the team, which is very impressive, and it says a lot about the coaching staff.
And you referenced the defense, Rob. Really, the only bad defensive performance they've had all year was the Alabama game in a semi-away contest. You take that one out, they might even be creeping up in the top 7 or 8. So, like, I think the biggest adjustment sometimes for these super skilled guys that come over from Europe, and I think, Tyler could attest to this, like, it's the physicality. It's how quick you have to get to these help spots sometimes. Like, defensively, you have to fly around, and I think that's an adjustment, and they have adjusted accordingly. And you take away that game November 20th against Alabama, Illinois does have a top 10 defense in college basketball, probably closer to top 6, 7.